What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Live with Brandon Blakeney podcast. I am your host, Brandon Blakeney, aka Brandon Lee TV. And you know I got another banger for you, so kick back, relax, and come take a ride with me.
You are now locked into the Live with Brandon Blakeney podcast. Here is your host, Brandon Blakeney.
So the defending national champs who ran the gauntlet last season were dominant, replaced 5 starters that were lost to the WNBA draft, came in and just completely dominated the competition. Talking about Dawn Staley and those South Carolina Gamecocks. They reloaded, and by reloaded, I mean they just brought everybody back that was already there and brought in a top freshman recruiting class as well, featuring arguably the best player in the entire nation, freshman-wise, in Joyce Edwards. They reloaded. And they just released their non-conference schedule. Now, we know the SEC is seeing some changes. Texas and Oklahoma are joining the fold. Texas will be a top 5 team next year, so South Carolina has some more competition. LSU has reloaded. Auburn, I don't think they will be in the mix for a title, but, you know, they did land Talia Scott, and they bring in a tough defense, a lot of talent back. They were missing a number 1 scoring option. They have that now in a 20-plus point per game scorer. In Scott, they have their star guard. They will be an interesting team, man. Ole Miss and Coach Yo are always tough. LSU, like we said, reloaded. Coach Kenny Brooks brought his star point guard from Virginia Tech over, and Georgia Amore. So there's been a lot of movement in the SEC. But one thing remains the same. Everything in women's college hoops right now runs through Columbia, South Carolina. They bring back an absolute mob, and we get to preview. They just released their conference schedule in SEC play for the upcoming season. Let's get into it. So they will start with Missouri, Mizzou, Mississippi State, Texas A&M, Texas, January 12th. That will be the mega matchup. Mississippi State will be solid as well. Like, they did some good things in the portal. But Texas A&M, I think, you know, they'll have an improved team as well. They weren't bad last year. But Texas will be the mega matchup here, man. They bring back Rory Harmon. They bring in Layla Flea. They bring back Madison Booker, the star freshman. They've added some bigs to replace the ones they've lost. Jordan Lee is a sensational freshman that is going to be a lockdown defender from day one. Texas is the second best team in the SEC, and this will be a mega matchup. This may be their toughest matchup of the year. Definitely in conference, and they play twice. This is major. January 12th, Gamecock fans, is the matchup to watch. They go to Alabama. Now, Oklahoma brings in Reagan Beers. They did some good things in the portal. One of the top players in the nation coming in, a new addition. So having Oklahoma and LSU back-to-back, they have 4 days in between the games, but that will be a big matchup. Like, January is going to be a tough stretch for South Carolina. LSU, we know, always plays them tough, although they've never beaten them. To this day, Kim Mulkey and LSU have not gotten the monkey off their back. We know Breezy Hall lit them up last year and closed out the game at LSU in a mega matchup. And then in the in the SEC tournament, Camila Cardoso completely took over the game, did work. And what's crazy, man, is we know that it absolutely almost resulted in a bench-clearing brawl. Both coaches had strong matches. There's some bad blood there. And it has boomed into one of the biggest rivalries in women's college hoops since Kim Mulkey has joined that squad. We're talking about the past 2 national champions in the last 2 years. So definitely got to keep an eye out for that matchup as well. Tennessee looking to establish a new era under a new head coach. Auburn, we mentioned, brought in Talia Scott. Major addition to a team that was scrappy, that had great defense, but didn't have the scoring firepower to compete with the league's elite. That may change next year. Then you got Georgia, February 6th, and then big bad Texas once again on February 9th. 2 major matchups. You get one at home, you get one on the road in Austin. Texas is no joke. They will be a national title contender, and they will have multiple player of the year candidates. Man, Rory Harmon was arguably the best point guard in the nation until she got hurt last year. Having her back is going to be so major. I just hope she comes back 100% off the ACL. Then they got Florida, who brings back a lot of talent, who brings in a talented recruiting class as well. Shout out Miara O'Neal. They got Shaq's kid coming. They got Chloe Kitt's sister as well down there, man. She made red shirt, but some family ties down there. Arkansas, blowout. They're rebuilding. Vanderbilt, not terrible. They're a program on the rise, but they're not there yet. Ole Miss, Coach Yo, gotta respect it. They are always tough, scrappy, well coached, and they play fast, man. It's gonna be a physical contest per usual. And then they end it March 3rd against Kentucky. Coach Kenny Brooks, Georgia Moore may be one of the best point guards, if not the best in the nation next year. So don't sleep on Kentucky. But things seem like they're lining up for South Carolina to run the gauntlet again. What's crazy, guys, is Coach Don Staley was on X the other day basically begging for opponents. Teams are scared to play South Carolina in the non-conference. It is August 22nd, people, and the Gamecocks are still looking to fill their non-conference schedule, bro. Nobody wants the smoke, and when you're beating teams by 30-plus points, I mean, there's going to be an intimidation factor there. They bring in the most talented roster in the nation, hands down. I mean, they are absolutely stacked. I love what USC did. I love what Texas did. I love what UCLA did. A lot of talented teams will be competing for that top spot. But when you think about returning talent, the chemistry, they brought dang near everybody back but Camilla. Literally, the front court, Chloe Kitt, Sanaya Fagan, Ashlyn Watkins, who I think could be a breakout star for this group on both ends. We saw her really flourish at that starting spot when Camilla was out. We saw her really flourish closing out games. She was not the starter most games, but it got to the point where she was so dominant on both ends, Coach Staley couldn't keep her off the court. Potential breakout star. I mean, you know, you get Dowda, a new player who can spread the floor, shoot the three, another weapon at the disposal of Don Staley. Walker's back. Tack is in there. Like, the front court is absolutely loaded. They're going to be scrapping for minutes. On the wing, you know, Breezy Hall, Joyce Edwards brings in a big wing that can guard multiple positions, the 1 through the 4 that can play multiple positions. She is a Swiss Army knife that it can impact the game in every aspect without having to dominate the basketball. I think she will see serious minutes her freshman year, and she gives them something they didn't have last year, a big wing capable of guarding the Madison Bookers, the Juju Watkins of the world, the Michaela Williams of the world. Big wing, big energy, most decorated player in this freshman class, MVP in multiple All-Star games, led Team USA in the under 18 championships, like, bro, or under 19. She's just elite. She is absolutely different. I think she has the potential to be the best player to come through here since Asia Wilson. No disrespect to anybody else, because there's been a lot of greats, and y'all holler at me in the comments and let me know how y'all feel. Then that backcourt too, man. I mean, Tahina Powell making the decision to come back, probably be a top 10 draft pick. Raven Johnson, the utility, the glue player who leads this team, the playmaker, the point guard. You bring in Malaysia Fulwiley, who is arguably the most exciting player in the nation. Does she take that next step forward and get more minutes and get into that national player of the year conversation? Tessa Johnson back with this group as well. We mentioned Breezy Hall, the sniper. Maddie McDaniel may not even need to play at this point, coming off that injury, but she's looked good in workouts. Of course, you know, you got Chloe Kitts that can play anywhere as well. 3, 4, 5. Like, she's been working on her perimeter game. This team is absolutely loaded, man. Like, it's going to get really, really spooky in Columbia this season. This team had no weaknesses last year. People came at me. They were mad at me because I kept saying that, and I stood by it. I stood on business about that, saying that this team had no weakness. Now you add in the depth that this group has, the rotations that this group has. I mean, it's going to be very tough to deal with. This is the best team in the nation, and I would be honestly not shocked but surprised if they don't run the gauntlet again and remain national champions. Don't sleep on LSU. Definitely don't sleep on Texas. Beating them twice will be very tough. That is a very good basketball team. The SEC as a whole improve dramatically as a conference. The tests will be a lot tougher this year for South Carolina. They will be tested more this year than last year, but I absolutely think that they are built for it, and it'll be exciting to see, man. But the SEC, bar none, toughest conference. This is going to be a gauntlet, and whoever comes out as regular season and tournament champs will be battle tested heading into that NCAA tournament. Y'all let me know how y'all feel in the comments about the breakdown, the conference play, and we'll keep y'all updated with all the latest and the greatest. Make sure to hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with the Live with Brandon Blakeney podcast. Of course, I'm your host, Brandon Blakeney, a.k.a. Brandon Lee TV. Until next time, we out.